Town of Rome Board meeting. I'd like to call to order on Thursday, October 20th at 5 p.m. Can I get a roll call starting from our left?
Jamadi here.
Minter here.
Hasdell here.
Goldman here.
And Mr. Supervisor Barheit is excused for the evening. Number 3, certified posting of the meeting, please.
I certify that on Monday, October 17th, 2022, the agenda for the Town of Rome Board meeting for Thursday, October 20th, 2022 was emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 2:22 p.m., posted at Rome Town Hall at 2:25 p.m., at Quick Trip LLC at 2:45 p.m., and at Nakusa Port Edwards State Bank at 2:35 p.m.
Thank you. Number 4, can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Motion
Move
to,
to. You go.
okay. Move to approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 5, please stand for a pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 6, citizen comments. Any comments posted?
No.
Thank you. No action contemplated except possible referral to future agenda. Number 7, information updates, meeting recaps, recent correspondence, current events, announcements. Lori, you have anything?
Yes, I do. I have just a few here, please. First one would be the American Legion Auxiliary is having a coat collection for children and adults. They'll be collecting coats until December 13th. And the collection points are Hoozles at the Lakes, Hoffman Trucking here in town, and the Lake Arrowhead Clubhouse. New and like new items only, winter items. And then also, let's see here. The other one would be the Sand County Players are having a play in the down at the Dell Pavilion. It's starting November 4th through the 13th. It's a dinner theater, and the tickets are available down at the pavilion or from different sources here in town. There's a number of people that live in our community that participate. It's called Ice House, and you can look that up online under the Sand County Players. And I also have the wine tasting. They have pretty much sold out. They're up to 105 tickets. There might still be some available. That's at Lake Arrowhead. That's also for the American Legion Auxiliary for the Ryan Larson Post here. And they have the sommelier from Sand Valley that'll be announcing the different wines that evening. Tickets are available for $35 a person. And I was also able to attend the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber breakfast last week, Friday. They had different representatives there from state and local government, Senator Patrick Teston, Assemblyman Scott Krug, and Nancy Vandermeer, assembly person from the state was there. Some of the issues that did come up was the projected state surplus of approximately $5 billion. The topics that they're most concerned with right now are public safety. That surplus, they feel they are collecting a little bit too much in taxes, so they're actually talking about eliminating possibly the state income tax or doing some reform of taxes and looking at a flat tax. Looking again at public safety and maybe raising the state sales tax and how they might bring some of that back to the municipalities. And so those were just some of the topics that they discussed that morning at breakfast. So thank you.
Dan?
Well, the library parking lot expansion is nearing completion, so that's really good that that's going to get done here before the snow flies. And then the Friends of the Library are having their book sale for the remainder of the week. So please come over and shop for some used books you can take home.
Dan?
I'll pass tonight.
I got one item from actually Tri-Lakes. Bob Ness and I met with the deputies to the secretary for the DNR yesterday. We had a good hour and a half long conversation trying to rebuild relationships with the DNR and get some more things done. I guess he's the number 3 guy in the DNR, so it was a very important meeting, and it was very, very productive. So looking for some good things down the road. He's gonna be a little more proactive with us, and should be a good thing, so. Jamie?
I have 4 items. The first one would be that in-person absentee voting starts on Tuesday, October 25th. So if you know that you would not be available to be here on Election Day, November 8th, in-person absentee starts on Tuesday. That's 8 to 4 here at Town Hall. The Halloween event sponsored by the Rome Makers is going to be Saturday, October 29th from 1 to 3. It'll be in the Rome Town Center. It will be walk-through where it's been drive-through the last couple of years because of COVID. The town will be participating, and the fire department will also be participating. If you'd like to join our booth, please let me know, and I'll let you in on our super top secret theme that I'm sure is going to win this year. So.
And still looking for candy?
Yes, and they will take candy donations here at Town Hall or at the library. The Veterans Day ceremony and dinner will again be held on Friday, November 11th. The ceremony will take place at 11:11 at our Spring Branch Cemetery at the Veterans Memorial. And following that, there will be a drive-through meal pickup from 12:30 to 2:30 for any area veteran and their spouse. So Visit Rome will be sharing a flyer around the community about that. It'll be posted in several different sites, and you can RSVP, veterans and spouses can RSVP through Visit Rome.
Do you have a time for the event?
11:11 is the ceremony at Spring Branch,
What time?
and 12:30 to 2:30 would be the drive-through.
The ceremony was what time?
11:11. It's at 11:11 on 11:11.
That's the hour that the armistice was signed to end World War I.
All right, thanks.
And then lastly, Chief Kane is in the back, but the fire department did receive this very nice award of Friends of Public Health for all of the work that we've done with public health through COVID and vaccine clinics and helping them to achieve goals. They presented this to the fire department this week, so this was a very nice award from the county. Chief, did you want to add anything to that?
Got it, thanks.
Those were my 4.
All right, thank you. Number 8, department and committee reports.
We would take questions if there were any on the reports in the packet.
I have just a couple, please. One for the administrator. Question, you had a appointment with the A&E committee at Lake Arrowhead, or you attended a meeting. Can you just share what was the purpose of your attendance at that meeting?
The A&E committee, which is the design and environment committee for them, had asked Emily and I to come to talk about where our town zoning either intersects or diverge from their covenants. So we just had a nice conversation about things that are in both Arrowhead covenants and in town code, and things where they might be more restrictive.
Okay, great.
Dan? Jamie, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. I had a resident ask a question. They said, if we have members of the board at some of these committee meetings, should you really be attending these meetings if we are represented by the board?
At which meetings?
Any meetings, other meetings you're attending where we have a board member and you also attend? Quite a few of them, I guess.
I guess it would depend on the meetings. We can certainly have the conversation.
Visit Rome is one, I think the other one, CDA. There was a couple of them brought to mind.
So,
Just conversation.
yeah, we can have the conversation if it's felt like there's better time used elsewhere, but I would say with the CDA, I do most of the background work for items that come up to the committee, or if there are items that are requested that would take extra time. A good example would be, we had a conversation about the sign, about if we would make
Yeah.
changes to the sign at RTC, and it was asked that I put together the script, and then the CDA members and I would go out and do the connections, so.
Okay, I guess maybe just reassess, but
Yeah.
anybody else? All right, thank you. Number 9, discussion and action approval of the October 6th, 2022 meeting minutes. Can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve the October 6th meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 10, discussion and action, checks, vouchers, receipts, and journal entries. Approved checks number 44560 through 44677, totaling $447,331. Auto payments totaling $68,104.54. State Social Security Medicare withholding totaling $35,137.51. Payroll vouchers V19389 through V19516 totaling $94,026.91. And checks 21648 totaling $371.25. Receipts number 23882 through 23984 totaling $123,493.24.
I have a few questions. On page 5, check 44581 for $9,854.07. Repairs to engine 602.
It was an insurance claim. So the truck, when it was coming out or backing into building 3, had hit a door. That was an insurance claim.
So did we not see that one already, or was
You may have
that?
seen the deposit of it, and this would be the actual repairs to SNR truck.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then on page 6, highway operations, there was a truck repair for $1,413.39.
I would have to pull that invoice to see which truck that was.
Okay, and then on page 7, there was a vehicle repair for fire operations for $1,336. Was that in regards then to the insurance recoveries for a deer hit, where we got a check for $805? Maybe didn't cover the whole repair.
Yeah, that was with Abra. Chief, do you remember which one had the deer hit this year?
Is that the?
Thank you.
So does that? Do those go together or no?
Yes, they
Oh,
would.
they did. Okay.
Yep.
All right, that answers that question then. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the checks, vouchers, receipts, and journal entries as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 11, discussion and possible action, approval of resolution number 22, a preliminary resolution declaring intent to exercise special assessment powers under Wisconsin State Statute, Section 66.0703 and Section 45, Article 2 of the Town Code for completing of paving work at 1158 Snow Pass, parcel identification number 030-00136-0597.
So I can give a general overview. Some of you may recall our past practice with use of special assessment with paving, particularly in the business park, and efforts that we had to ensure compliance, but also provide some kind of closer scoping of that work with other paving projects that we had that reduced, therefore, the cost and saw the compliance. In your packets, you see a few different things. We've received a request from the property owner at 1158 Snow Pass to, again, put a special assessment in place on the property to allow for the paving work to be completed, certainly within the time frame that the site plan of operation had imposed on the property at that time of approval. So the process is that you consider a preliminary resolution. We would set it for a public hearing, and then we would consider a final resolution. I do want to point out one thing that is different in this preliminary resolution than what we had done in the past, and it's just so we can have a larger discussion about it. This request is for a 10-year special assessment. In the past, when we had done this, we had done 3 or 5 years as the option for the properties to request, and so this one is requesting 10. It's not wrong that we go out to 10, but it is worth mentioning because it is a little bit different than what we had done in the past. So if you are okay with that, it is referenced in the preliminary resolution. It will also be in the final resolution, so you can be okay with that today and decide that that's not okay with the final resolution, but it's probably better to have that conversation now so we can communicate that with the property owner. And so that's why I mentioned it now rather than at the time of the final resolution.
I have one question. This property has 2 driveways, doesn't it?
There is a drive around there. One side it does already have like a concrete pad that's been placed in there. This paving was requested to be done in the next 18 months through their plan commission, site plan of approval. And this was one way to work cooperatively with them to get it done.
Okay.
So
What do we do about the second driveway?
it is concreted there, and then
All of it?
yeah, that one side has concrete. The side that's off of Snow Pass has concrete.
A question I have on the resolution is, would we want to put the dollar amount that she got the quote on?
So, great question, and a good opportunity to kind of talk about the past practice and then currently what this would be. So you wouldn't, because this preliminary resolution then sets forth the requirement that you'll see a reference to an administrator's report, consistent with what we did last time. The idea here, back then, was also to see what maybe the cost could be, and then if we can do it at a lower cost, then we would do it at that lower cost, so the cost would not exceed, and then we had required that everybody get an estimate and submit it to us. So same thing that we have here. Now, at the time of the request, we also, as Supervisor Winter pointed out, had some we're having some paving work done. And so I believe we did ask if there was an ability to build that in and maybe provide a lower cost alternative. So long way of answering the question that the dollar amount, no, you wouldn't want to put it in the preliminary, but it will be part of the report that you all
Okay.
receive. And then finally, with that final resolution, we'll settle on what that cost is going to be.
Okay,
What-
thank you.
What was the time frame in which we required the paving to occur?
By November 30th, it was 18 months, so 2024,
23.
23,
When
23.
did that property sold earlier this year, right?
Yeah. It was an 18-month window.
Yeah, a little over a year. This certainly accelerates that, as it actually gives the possibility of that work being done yet this year.
Which we might run in, I mean, the weather's gonna, because the soonest they could pave would be November 4th, because it has to go to the public hearing.
It
So
does.
it would depend on if they would have some good days after that. Otherwise, it would be done in spring.
I guess I have a bit of heartburn in the fact, or the manner in which this is presented. It's almost as if the town is financing the work to be done on this property.
Well, we would, again, with all assessment, we would pay for the work up front, and then they would pay for it through tax assessment through the years, which we've done with the other properties in Rome Town Center.
Those properties were, what's the circumstances around in which that occurred? I could understand if this was November 2023 and she has no means with which to complete the paving, and this is what we were going to do anyway, if we got to that point. But this is very, I don't want to say premature, but very early in the time frame in which she was allotted. I don't know that's necessarily fair to others that have come into compliance or are going to be constructing.
Would it be offered as an option if we were closer to the end of the time frame? I mean, then I think that would be a follow-up question that we would potentially have with the owner.
I mean, 12,500 over 10 years is, it's not a lot of money from the town coffer's perspective necessarily to float, but there is a cost to it, and it is a pretty significant advantage for one particular owner to extend that out over 10 years.
If there were others going forward though in Rome Town Center that would ask, I mean, it would be an option that we potentially would provide. We just thought it was a way in which to offer a means in which to have the process, the paving done.
I'll also be careful about precedent setting too, unless we're comfortable with what that really means.
I think in the CDA, we've talked about this in the past. I think we have offered in the past, going back a few years. Do you remember?
Yes, we did. And how many were there, Nick, that actually we brought into compliance? That was the reason we had originally offered it at the CDA. with 5, thank you. So, and how many have so 5 have it currently on their tax assessment.
One is remaining. Others
One
paid
re-
off in advance. Or it
Others-
was paid off with sale.
And I believe there was a reason why this ended up being an issue, and she's trying to resolve this issue and work with the town, and this was offered to her as a way to resolve it sooner rather than the 18 months? Is that,
This was offered as one potential.
okay.
Tom? Tom, did you want to?
I think that the other businesses that were in the Rome Town Center at that point in time, they were always saying they were gonna pave, they didn't pave. And then I came up and I did the mini golf course and I had to pave. I think that's why the town stepped up, not to give a hardship to the other businesses, but to get everybody into compliance. But as we move forward, the business was in compliance. The plan commission signed off, the last owner abandoned that entrance of the driveway and grassed it. The last owner then put the gravel back in. Is it the town's problem now to clean it up again? I don't feel it is the town's problem to clean it up again. Everybody was brought into compliance at that point in time when those 5 properties did take the offer. Paving's a requirement in the town center. Figure it out with your bank and the purchase price. I just put a $20,000 parking lot in at the gift shop. We figured it into the mortgage in the beginning. I don't think it's a town's job to bankroll businesses unless there's some other things going on. We had everybody in compliance in the business park. Everybody was compliant until an owner puts down gravel. It made it non-compliant.
If I could, just one comment to what was stated. So I do recall the effort that we had, and likely some of you do as well, in getting the compliance there. The only clarifying point I would make is that when we were going through this and notifying the property owners that were not in compliance, as you know, there's been a couple different owners of that particular property. I do recall we were going through enforcement with that particular property, so it was not in compliance, I don't believe, at that time, when it was Stagecoach.
In terms of the costs and benefits, so if we move forward with this, obviously, then we would pay the $12,150, and then over 10 years, that would be put on their assessment. But obviously, there's a cost to us in terms of not having the $12,000 in our reserve savings or wherever we're taking that money from. Is that cost of that money factored in what goes on their assessment, or is it just straight 1/10 of whatever the amount is?
All right, so
Is that paragraph that talks about fees, assessments? Could you explain that a little bit more, please?
yeah, so there are additional costs, administrative costs really, that could be rolled in. Not necessarily opportunity costs, if that's, some of what it sounded like you were asking were perhaps opportunity costs. Those we really can't roll in. And then just, I will use this as an again reminder that it is requested 10 years. That isn't the practice that we had followed in the past. It doesn't need to be the practice that you follow here. 10 years is what's being requested. Our standard was 3 and 5 in the past. So I just, again, because 10 years has been used a few times, that is what's being requested. That isn't necessarily what would need to be determined, or need to be settled on. It can be up for your determination either tonight or at a future meeting if you decided to pass the resolution.
Was this a request on the current owner's part because the offer was made due to the potential of possibly still getting this done this fall because other paving projects are taking place?
So Also, just to be clear, this would be with a different company. When we priced it with ours,
Oh, I
there
see.
wasn't a savings, so this is with a different
see.
paving company.
Okay,
With that said, I think it was I think the owner wanted to make sure that they could come into compliance with the plan commission and their request. This was an opportunity to move it up in their time frame and not wait, to have it be taken care of and to continue to build their business and be successful in the town.
right,
And in this case, I mean, this individual purchased from a previous owner.
Right.
I would say in other cases where we own the land in Rome Town Center, we do sell it at a reduced rate for development, right? And that reduced rate is somewhat a benefit from the town in order to encourage that development. And to allow to add those other costs in like paving. And it's not uncommon that you've offered, that reduced rate to businesses on that land purchase, or your developer's agreement with Sand Valley and the TIF, right? Like, it's a means in which to stimulate to make sure that a business is successful.
right.
And to that point, we do build in, as you've likely seen in the more recent developers agreement, the requirement of paving. I mean, that was something that really came out of
Correct.
that past effort. So certainly when we sell property now that's conveyed from the town, we require the developer's agreement, and we have that as a required provision in there.
And this is her way of wanting to move up the timeline as well, because at Plan Commission, we did give her the 18 months, but this is her way of wanting to come into compliance, even with all of her, being a new business and having her startup costs, because the previous business in between Stagecoach and hers was not in compliance. So, correct, so normally, we, like you said, we give 3 to 5 years, but this gives her an opportunity to come into compliance, so she's trying to make this.
Any other
I'll
comments?
move that we approve resolution number 22 for a preliminary resolution declaring intent to exercise special assessment powers under Wisconsin State Statute, section 66.0703 and section 45, article 2 of the town code for completion of paving work at 1158 Snow Pass, parcel identification 030-00136-0597.
And I just make sure
Did
that.
I say that wrong?
No, you didn't.
Oh,
But I do wanna make sure that it's clear, you're adopting the resolution as it's presented, because right now it's presented with that 10 years.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Question on procedure, so this has to go to a public hearing, it comes back, right?
It was
That's correct.
on the
So,
3rd.
yep, there will be a public hearing that needs to be held. There will be a final resolution that would be proposed. So this really is just the preliminary step. There's still a public hearing that would be held, and there would still be a final resolution that would be adopted.
Along with a memo from myself that would include that pricing and the determination from the plan commission, et cetera.
It's on November 3rd, that's planned?
Yeah.
I will not be here.
November 3rd, town board. The public hearing will be at the town board. I know we don't often have public hearings at town board, but it'll be noticed for town board.
I'm not gonna be here November 3rd, that's all I'm saying.
But, and even if everything goes okay and this would pass, it doesn't preclude her from prepaying anything, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Do we need it to be 10 years? Does it have to be 10 years?
What would you
You made
rather
the
see?
motion, that's why I'm
7,
asking the question. Would you consider something less?
Would you be comfortable with 7? I would amend my motion to, you've obviously had a conversation, there's obviously a reason why she asked for 10. So she knows what her business plans is, she knows what she can handle at this point. I guess,
I don't wanna imply that she would be comfortable or uncomfortable with a different amount of years. It's just that there's not an amount of years that is placed in statute. So I said, please, present the number of years that you're comfortable with.
And this would be a public hearing that, obviously she would receive notice for. I think they'd be here at the next meeting in the public hearing. And you can ask those questions, and like I said, you're leading in with the preliminary resolution, so we can
It's
communicate
preliminary
that to the property owner. That doesn't mean that it can't be adjusted
at that time.
at that time.
Okay, so then I'll stay with my motion then, and
And I can touch base with the business owner and let them know that there was more of a comfort level with between 5 and 7.
I'd like to be on record as no more than 3 to 5. Consistent with past practices.
I think if we've done 3 to 5 on the past ones, I think if they're able to, but I guess we have to see when it comes to the next round of meeting.
And again, if you're going to potentially draw that down, it might be better that you draw it down here, so then that conversation can be had, and they can kind of work those numbers rather than see it at 10, unless you're asking the administrator to communicate that you've adopted preliminary resolution at 10, but maybe we'd be more comfortable at 3 to 5. You see what I'm saying? So doing it at the preliminary resolution allows that conversation to be had. Allows the conversation to be had with the property owner to have them work out, right? Whether that's realistic, if they can finance it or whatever, I don't.
okay, understanding the history of what happened here and why we did what we did at Plan Commission meeting, then I would be willing to amend my motion to 7 years.
I'll amend the second at 7. Again, keeping in mind that we do have options at the next meeting and public input, so, yeah.
I'm comfortable with 7, considering the history and what we did at Plan Commission. If chairman's okay with this second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carried. Number 12, discussion of possible action, approval of recommendation from the Plan Commission on consideration of a site plan of operation for Up North Brewing Company, CO Clinton J. and Heather L. Dalton, and Brandon D. and Leslie M. Orr, for the property located at 304 Matterhorn Trail, also described as Lot 2 of CSM 5041, located in southeast 1/4, southwest 1/4, Section 08, and northeast 1/4, northwest 1/4, Section 17, Town 20 North, Range 06 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 030-1136-0589.
There was information from the Plan Commission included in your packet. Brandon and CJ are here today to answer any questions that you may have. And Town Attorney, did you have anything to add?
Yep, just a few things, just to call your attention to some documents in your packet. So this item was considered at the Plan Commission's meeting held on October 11th of 2022. Public hearing was held, after which the recommendation was made to approve the site plan of operation. There is a condition noted on the findings of fact that I just draw your attention to. That condition was that the final site colors and materials be approved by the zoning administrator prior to ordering to ensure compliance with the Rome Town Center design plan and the commercial A sub-district requirements in our town code.
I'll move that we approve the recommendation from the Plan Commission on consideration of a site plan of operation for Up North Brewing Company, care of Clinton J. and Heather L. Dalton, and Brandon D. and Leslie M. Orr, for the property located at 304 Matterhorn Trail. Do you want me to read all the rest of that? Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Welcome.
Welcome.
Number 13, discussion and possible action, approval of a recommendation from the Plan Commission on consideration of a site plan of operation for Ebby Realty, Carol Randall Ebby, J. Ebby Sr., for the property located at 384 State Road 13, also described as Lot 75 of Canterbury Addition, to Lake Sherwood, located in southwest 1/4, southeast 1/4, Section 17, Town 20 North, Range 06 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 030-01950-0000.
Again, information from the Plan Commission was included in the packet. This would be a replacement of the Abbey Realty building, located off of State Highway 13. I would note on the findings of fact, it did include that there would be no outdoor storage, no rental or leasing of storage space with this building, and it would allow for a lease space of personal services within the property. I know the owners are here tonight, and Nick,
No, just, I think it was professional services, right?
professional, what did I say?
Personal.
Professional.
That's what that last sentence says.
Other than that, I think Jane covered it.
Any questions?
The outdoor storage again.
I'll move that we,
Wait, there was a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you had no outdoor storage again. And there's grandfathered for.
That's-
Oh, the knee deep, which we had to check the file for, but there wouldn't be any additional.
And then we're allowed to rent office space, but not storage space.
Correct, professional service space.
Okay.
Thank you.
but it says no outdoor. Okay, well. No outdoor storage
Can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission to accept the site plan and plan of operation for the Abbey Realty Building with the conditions as noted on the findings of fact.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I just have one quick question or a comment. We had discussed the site plan and plan of operation for the parking lot at the Plan Commission meeting, but I noticed on here, and we didn't finalize specific paving requirements like we did for the other ones we discussed for the zoning codes for B1 zoning district and the gateway overlay, nor did we specify like a certain time limit for the paving. So did you have a time limit in mind for your paving?
It's currently paved.
You wanna come
Well,
up and-
it's kind of in disrepair, and so with all of the businesses now, when we do the site plan, plan of operation, we talk about paving, so did you have a timeline?
The majority of the paving that is in disarray is not my property. That is Cal's Corner. And I do actually plan on repaving mine, but I don't know what I'm going to do at this point because I don't want to go across a motocross to a brand new parking lot either. It's not my responsibility to have to do theirs.
Oh, I know, we're discussing just your portion, so
Right?
18 months is the norm, so just for your portion, Randy, so Nick, how would we adjust for his portion then? Because normally we have to do that.
First off, you don't have to. There has been though, the norm to address or discuss the paving piece of it. I'm hearing that there are plans in place down the road to pave. I don't know that the applicant has necessarily referenced a timeline to doing so.
No, I have not. And like I said, my portion is paved. There is a few spots that need to be repaired, but to the north of me, which I am trying to work with the neighbor right now to also handle taking care of that, but that's all going to be monetary down the road, and it's not on me.
So
Still
with,
planning on doing something to make it better.
right. So with most of these though, we have to normally have
But-
I'm asking.
But his parking lot is paved.
It is.
But isn't there also gravel there?
That is not mine. That's an easement to the next business down.
There is gravel in front, but it's,
There's a 20-foot easement that runs to the west side of the pavement, which is actually access to lots. Let's see here.
But the
76, 77, 76, 77. I think it's actually no, I'm sorry. It's 74, 73, 72. those all have easement, a 20-foot west side easement to those properties. And that was all designated back in the Isaacson days. That's all is commercial zoned.
And then because it's an easement, then it's not your responsibility.
It's
to
not my
pave-
property.
not
The
your
easement comes
easement
across the front.
across.
Well, isn't the easement an access easement likely? I mean, that just gives rights of access over your property.
To those, well, actually, where my stakes are, it's to the 20 feet west of that.
Yeah, and I don't have the easement in front of me, so I wouldn't be able to confirm or deny
Right.
what's being stated. Usually easements are for something like access or use over somebody's property and may expire, they may continue into perpetuity. Here it's an access easement, it sounds like, but I'd be speculating if I did anything other than just say.
I think just for our sakes, for continuity and because we're in B1 with the gateway and what we've been experiencing lately, Randy, we just need to have clarification on this.
I know,
Please,
I know
just-
where my property stakes are.
I understand, Randy, but for our sake, for Plan Commission and Town Board and what we've been experiencing lately, that everybody's treated similar. Nick, should we have clarification on his as we do with everybody else's? A paving plan in place?
If it's paved, there doesn't need to be a paving plan.
Well, okay,
You know,
all right, okay.
I mean, because we don't put a plan in place for repairs of paving. I mean, that,
I'm looking at the property right now, and there is an easement there, and that's owned by the state of Wisconsin.
I think you have a separate easement on your property, yes?
There's another one coming across, but
It's 'cause
it's hard to determine if it's easement, but that's not,
the
it's,
easement
I'm
you're
just asking the
discussing is not
question.
They're
zone.
using part of mine to go
Okay,
south. But the actual easement runs from that, where that blacktop is, to the west.
I just wanna make sure we're all,
Yep, that's fine.
and,
I know it well.
Knee Deep still have their equipment out there, because that's state property.
They worked that out with Greg, and that is non-conforming. I did discuss it with him. He is working on preparing his area over there,
Okay.
but for the
well,
time being, he's using that, which was
all right.
allowed under grandfathering rules.
That's outside of this scope anyway, so.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Parking surface is paved.
Yeah. Any other comments?
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second, I believe. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 14, discussion and possible action, approval of recommendation from the Plan Commission on consideration of a site plan of operation for Joshua and Naomi, oh boy. Are they here?
Gutowski.
Gutowski, okay, if you say so. For the property described as Lot 3 of Certified Survey Map 6696, located in southeast 1/4, northeast 1/4, Section 08, Town 20 North, Range 06 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 030-00641-0030.
There was the information from the Plan Commission included in your packet. This also would have a findings of fact attached, and you would see, in addition to the findings of fact, there was a driveway paved from 200 feet of the center line within 18 months, and that outdoor storage needs to be screened per code. That would be additional outdoor storage other than the display that would be on the property, because this is a site plan that does not include a building. When a building would be added to this site, it would have to come back for a new site plan of operation. Did I miss anything?
That's it.
On this plan, it says paved to be determined on the side,
Yep,
on the
so
west side.
that's what the applicant had included when they submitted it. The paving to be determined was by the Plan Commission, and that's the driveway paved from 200 feet of the center line within 18 months. That was placed as a condition.
All right.
Make a motion to approve the site plan of operation for Joshua and Naomi Gutowski.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 15, discussion only, review of Plan Commission discussion regarding Article 17, Rome Town Center, 360-81.1, Commercial A Subdistrict.
So there was a series of information that was included in the town board packet. This is the information that was also included in the plan commission packet. It included a memo from Emily Zeddy's, the zoning administrator, information from when the particular building that was in question was approved at the plan commission, including the minutes from that evening, and the site plan that was presented. The code and the last sheet that was attached is the checklist for new business, and that business is now the only piece that's changed to this is there will also be a sign off on the bottom stating that businesses agree that they have seen all of these items and that they have provided them to the best of their ability. I would note, since the plan commission meetings, so the owner was present at the plan commission meeting, and we had followed up with them afterwards and just had a discussion. The owner, and I have copies of the agreement, but the owner has agreed to a site plan addendum. There are two pieces in that addendum. One would be the concern about the roof, that we understand there was a mistake with the roof. We apologize for the mistake with the roof, but that roof pitch would have to come into compliance for the 612 if it was ever damaged beyond repair or if an expansion happened to that business. And additionally, the owner has agreed to place the brick apron that's currently on the front of the building on the two additional sides of the building. That would be the north side and the east side of the building within 36 months. And I do have that as a signed agreement from the property owner if anyone would like to see it.
Well, I think that that is very commendable that he did that. I certainly appreciate that. Can we do something to clean up this language so that it clearly means how it's being applied?
Yep, and then we've had that
Yeah, so-
conversation at Plan Commission.
So that, the follow-up to that is that my understanding is that that will be going to either plan commission or some kind of subcommittee, likely just plan commission. I think we can clear that up at the plan commission, but we should review our ordinance and our requirements where it is subject to a different interpretation, clean it up, and that, I think we can do that, and we should do that. So, for this property, I think we've got a path forward. Our path forward with the code is to review our ordinance, and make a determination on what our intention is, and make sure that the ordinance language clearly identifies that intention. So, two paths forward, and I think we have a game plan for both of them.
John?
Two things. In Emily's opinion, when she says that metal siding is on the list of approved materials, metal siding is not on the list. A list is something that has two or more items in it. The list that they say in the ordinance does not mention metal siding. Above and beyond the list, metal siding is approved for the other 50%. But metal siding is not listed on the list. Second thing is, we should look at precedent. Look at every other building in the Rome Business Park. There's not one building, except for Papa Bear's, that has any metal facing the road. And my metal is very minor across the window line. Every other building in that complex, no matter if you look at the front or street, there's no metal. The old fireplace company, they put log siding on their front and on the parking lot side. Plato Construction, on the front road and on the side street. The back of that building is metal. Advantage Plumbing did their corner. Keystone Savings Bank, Codwell Banker. Codwell Banker has metal on the side that faces the parking lot, but not an entrance, because their entrance is on Matterhorn Trail. The other thing is, even when we look at the Rome Meat Market today, I don't think there's any disputing. We can dispute side, entrance, whatever. Front is front. There's still more than 50% metal on the front of that building. And the porch in the Rome Town Center guide says has to be a minimum of 60% of the width of the building and a minimum of 8 feet wide. So even after we discussed this building at Plan Commission, I believe twice, and even if we knock out the sides of the building, which I've been so adamant on that it was interpreted wrong, the front of the building still doesn't meet the code in commercial A.
Thanks, Tom.
I just want to say, I still believe in the code that we have. The reason why it was written the way that it was written, if there's any so-called cleanup that we need to do, it's maybe the removal or replacement of the word "and" or a slash. I think the discussion is good to have back at the Plan Commission and see how we want to move forward with it. But I think I have to agree with some of what was just said as far as look at some of the buildings that are currently there and the businesses that went by that code. And I do want to thank the owners of the meat market that made the addendum to their site plan of operation to come into compliance with the code. And I do want to state that April 19th, I was on the town board. That was my very first town board meeting. And I accept responsibility for having looked through that first board packet and not catching those things myself. That was my first, there's no excuse, but not being up to date with the codes at that time. I approved that building as well, but it went all the way down through the chain, and I accept responsibility for missing that as well. And I should have been more familiar with the code at the time, and we should have all catched it at some point. So I accept responsibility, and I also apologize before those folks even started putting that building up. So I apologize to my fellow commissioners, my fellow board members, but that was my first town board meeting. And so we'll move forward from this, but I do think our code is good. It was put in place for a reason, and I think we should stand by it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Number 16, discussion and possible action, approve offer to purchase approximately 1.90 acres of land from Adams County for addition to the Deer Hughes Recreational Park with funds received from the State of Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Outdoor Recreation Aids Grant Program and authorization of town chairperson to execute documents required to complete the purchase of said property. Parcel number 030-01033-0010.
So just a couple quick comments to this. This item does relate to, as stated, a 1.9 acre parcel adjacent to current Derek Hughes property and owned by Adams County. This item would then qualify for grant funding under that Wisconsin Department of Outdoor Recreation Aids Grant Program. A review of it and an appraisal was received, after which there has been some discussion about maybe openness to conveying the property or selling the property, by which we've received some tentative answers that they are open to considering offers. Therefore, a offer you, I believe, all have in your packet was drafted by me and is consistent with other offers that we've had in the past for Derek Hughes property purchases. If you are approving this evening, I'd recommend that you approve submitting that offer and state the amount, and then authorize the town chair and clerk treasurer to execute the conveyance documents, and that being in a form and content acceptable to the town attorney, so then we can go back and forth if we need to do minor things with the offer through a counter offer, as long as the purchase price remains and the terms under the agreement remain as well.
Does the grant cover the full 4,000?
And we would not proceed with purchase unless the grant did cover the full purchase price. And the only other thing I would note is that in the map that you see, we own the rest of that 40, so this would close off owning that full 40.
You know, motion, please?
I'll move to approve the offer to purchase approximately the 1.9 acres of land from Adams County for addition to the Derek-Hughes Recreational Park with funds received from the State of Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Outdoor Recreation Aids Grant Program.
Just one question on that motion before a second gets made. Did you want to include an amount? And if you don't include an amount, as long as it's covered by the aid, then I guess we could consider a counteroffer for a different amount. Otherwise, I'd recommend you put an amount, and if there's something that comes back different than an amount, it would come back to you all. $4,000 is the amount that.
I think we should just purchase the piece of land, cause it's been sitting there for a while, and I think if we have the money, we should buy the piece of land, because I've actually had my eye on, well, I think we should buy the piece of land, find the money, so whatever it takes.
So, as long as it's covered by the
grant.
grant.
You want me to add, as long as it's covered by the grant?
I think you did. I just.
I think I
The only
said
reason
that.
yeah, I think you did. The only reason I asked that was because I think it's just to clarify whether it needs to come back to you all to approve a certain number, or if the approval tonight would be just, if it's covered by the grant, we move forward.
Is this the same grant that the rental of the skidster comes out of?
It is run through the same entity, it is not the same grant. That's an operations grant, and this is, so it's a different,
Arm of that?
yes.
Okay.
What's the time frame on the grant, do you know?
So if we would apply and receive, it wouldn't necessarily have a time frame, as long as we were coordinating with the DNR that the purchase would eventually happen, the grant funding would be there.
Okay.
That's how all of the projects with them, when we've determined a project would be done, as long as we've communicated that it's moving forward, then the grant funding is there.
I'm just thinking.
Again, that grant funding comes from your registration on your ATVs and UTVs.
It's off-road grant.
I'm not clear on what the motion is anymore.
Oh,
Approve offer to purchase approximately 1.9 acres of land from Adams County for addition to the Derek-Hughes Recreational Park with funds received from the State of Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Outdoor Recreation Aids Grant Program.
I'll second, so we can have discussion now, which we
Okay.
already started discussion, but
All
do
right.
we not want to have any language in there to cap it to the funds that we receive from the grant potentially? And the way it's stated is a blanket, buy it for whatever, and who cares where the money comes from?
It's coming from the grant.
So I believe that the DNR has a rule that they don't pay more than the assessed value, which is why they require that assessment. Yeah, appraisal, thank you. They won't pay more than the appraised value, so. And the appraised value, I think, did come back at 4,000. So I don't think that they would, if the county would say, we want 6, I think the DNR would say 4.
You want me to add appraised value? Or do you want the 4,000? You want the 4,000?
Sure,
4,000.
I'll accept that.
Any further discussion?
I have a question. Are you also authorizing the chair to sign? That wasn't part of the motion.
Oh. An authorization of town chairperson to sign the documents required documents.
I accept.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
So this piece of property's been hanging out there for a long time, and I brought it up years ago, and it's just like, let's get it.
Number 17, discussion of possible action. Request to forward to the town meeting consideration to sell town-owned property located at 384 Norwich Way, also described as Outlet 2 of the Bromley addition to Lake Camelot, southeast 1/4, southwest 1/4, section 14, town 20 north, range 06 east, with a parcel identification number of 030-04891-0000.
So this property located at 384 Norwich Way is a kind of an odd-shaped lot. There is a map of it in the packet. It was forwarded from the water utility that we may want to just surplus this property. Again, for town-owned property that is put up for sale, it has to go to an elector meeting. We would put this on the elector meeting for November 17th when we have our regular budget presentation to place it, to ask for permission to sell. Like we did with the Apache property last year, the electors provide permission to sell. The town board would then determine the method of which sale would occur. So this item tonight just is requesting for us to put it on that town elector meeting in order to ask the electors about surplusing that property. The method in which we would do it would return to town board for determination.
What is,
One additional point to that is that, as you'll recall, if you approve this tonight, it would show up on the elector meeting as a resolution, as any grant of authorization would have.
what is the actual size of this? It
Yeah.
comes
I was
up as
gonna
0
ask the
acres.
same thing.
It's-
Is that buildable?
It's .611.
How much is the driveway? Because that's a long drive being a flag lot. Is it even buildable?
That's,
I don't know. So it's an existing parcel, right? So, now our parcel size is a 1 acre minimum. This wouldn't apply because it's an existing parcel. This may be something that's not necessarily used as a buildable lot, but maybe is communicated in a different way that it could go to a different use other than be town-owned property.
Well, I don't know how to make this happen, but I'd like to see that end up in the hands of the deeded owners of Outlet 1 Bromley.
So,
That land isn't buildable and it will do nothing but cause problems depending on who purchases it.
just a general comment to that, to dispose of the property, we obviously have to have the
Mhm.
elector approval. You all, as Jamie had mentioned, determine the method of that, the sale price, and so, to your point, certainly if that was the determination by the town board, that could be conveyed directly to them as perhaps a parcel they may be interested in, and see if they would submit an offer or set a price and go from there.
do you even have an association that can,
Well, this is gonna be a manual effort to collect all these people and get something together. There's probably 40 properties, maybe.
is this something that's sizable enough to turn it into a town park if that doesn't work out? I mean, I know what it's like to try and get a membership to agree to something. I mean, when you have an association that has, I mean, it's just another idea, that's all. I
But
mean,
for
it's
now,
like a
we're-
pocket park.
But for tonight, we're just seeking the permission of the electors to
Right.
potentially sell
Sell
this
it.
lot if we can come to an agreement about the sale of said
Right.
lot.
Right.
Surplus the lot.
Surplus the lot.
Yep, so it doesn't bind you to sell it or dispose of it. You may all decide that the idea is a moot point for now and you're not going to sell it. But this would be a grant of authorization, to at least have that conversation and consider how you might want to dispose of the property if you do end up wanting to dispose of the property.
I move we seek authorization from the town electors for the surplusing of the lot mentioned.
I'll second that,
Any discussion?
that we have it on a, yes, that we do, after we do that, we do discuss further what we wanna do with it, because of its size and what it could potentially cause.
And you would have to discuss further if the town electors would give you approval, cause
Right.
yes, you
Right.
have to, you would
Yeah.
determine the method.
Yeah, let's discuss this further once.
Just one other comment to that, an interesting subcomponent of it is that when you do have that conversation with the electors, you can seek their input, it's not binding, but you may, want to get some input from them on maybe their thoughts on a particular use or way of conveying. And I think we've received input in the past from electors on that. It's not binding on you, but could certainly be input sought from the electors at that same meeting.
Yeah, for the sake of moving it on for now, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible action approval to dispose of fire department front load washer and dryer and set minimum bid amount.
What's the condition of these washer and dryers?
That's probably more a chief question than a me question.
Front load, yeah, gee. I wouldn't mind.
They're 20-plus-year-old front load washer, commercial washer and dryer, that we replaced with the new equipment that we were able to receive through COVID grant, and so they're used 20-plus-year-old washer and tumble dryer.
They're fairly large.
They are. The dryer is something, and washer is something you'd see in a commercial laundromat.
Had no issues with them, no repairs recently or anything of that nature?
They've been disconnected for the last 3 years.
Any idea of their value?
We placed $500 each is what was in the memo.
500 each?
If you'd like to set it lower, you certainly can. I mean, with that, the board sets.
I'm assuming you just want to get rid of them and get them out of your building, correct?
Correct.
I move we offer the unused front load washer and dryer for don't you use that auction site? Or how would you do it?
I don't know that we have used the auction site. We might do okay on the auction site. We might do better just saying we have this, and if anyone is willing to, needs it.
For $100 a piece.
Is this motion or a second?
That's a motion.
Okay, I'll second that. I guess we'll see if we get that. This might be coming back.
Knocked it down from 5.
Any further discussion?
Yeah,
And I've got a go ahead, I got a suggestion, but go ahead.
yeah, I'm thinking that there's like maybe a facility or something that could use them for that.
I'm thinking the same thing, like, is there a donation, somebody out there, animal
Like
shelter, or
Love
anything like
Inc.
that?
or a home or a,
Anything like that
Yeah.
could use them, just a thought.
Definitely something we could look into.
yes.
The dryer is now non-compliant for fire department use. The new gear manufacturers now don't allow tumble drying.
Oh,
That's why we have a dryer cabinet now. But there's still plenty of places that could possibly use this. We'd definitely look into just making a donation out of it.
yeah, like Hope House or, yeah.
Yeah. Any idea what they were worth new 20 years ago?
Not a clue.
What do the new ones cost?
I think that grant money we spent in excess of like $20,000 for the new stuff.
I was gonna say they're about 10
What?
piece.
Are you serious?
Very.
Come do my laundry here.
Holy,
If you want to wash it right behind our turnout gear, feel free.
Holy moly.
But it's not Chief said this was a tumble dryer. It's like a rack, right? Like
Yeah,
it's like
that's
a.
not
It's
We
like
actually
a,
have a dryer cabinet now.
Yeah.
We can hang 3 full sets of gear in.
Oh,
Are these just basically what you'd find in a laundromat then?
Exactly.
All right.
put my small car in there then, is that what you're saying?
We could.
Okay.
So your motion is for you, if you're willing to donate it, which the next agenda item asks for a donation, we'd have to amend the motion, because right now you'd have to get at least $200 to let them go.
I would move that if a suitable I'll move to amend my motion that if a suitable nonprofit organization can be found to donate the unused equipment to them or put it out for sale at $100 a piece.
Bid, right?
What?
You're saying bid? Because we would, if we had to,
Okay,
Yeah.
if
bid
we
for
couldn't
$100.
find somewhere.
Minimum
okay,
bid for
I
100.
accept that.
Okay.
I like that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 19, discussion and possible action approval to donate 21 lengths of 3-inch supply hose from the fire department.
Again, this was included in that memo in the packet. The conversation was to potentially donate them to UWSP for training or to the Wisconsin-Nicaragua partnership. Then they would be sent overseas and be used in the fire department in Nicaragua, which I think has some of, I mean, they have several fire department items, including, I think, the tanker truck from Bancroft. But would be another option.
What's the cost to ship them?
Wisconsin Nicaragua Partners takes care of that with the National Guard. We just have to get them to Stevens Point.
It would cost us a trip to Stevens Point.
Yep. You might be able to do it when we're already going there anyway.
So this is, we're either gonna donate it to UWSP for training or to the Wisconsin Nicaragua Pop, or we give it to UWSP and then they opt to give it to the Wisconsin Nicaragua project.
Whichever one you're more comfortable with would be just fine. I think either project would gladly accept.
Nicaragua one. Schools get a lot of money. I'll move that we donate 21 lengths of 3-inch supply hose from the fire department to the Wisconsin Nicaragua partnership.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 20, the board may go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 19.85, sub 1, sub C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Extend the timeline for fire chief position educational requirements. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to enter closed session pursuant to 1985, sub 1, sub C.
Second.
Any further discussion? Get a roll call vote, starting from my left.
Jamadi, yes.
Minter, yes.
Asdell, yes.
Goldman, yes.
We are now in closed session.
We'll exit and go into the other room. Just a friendly reminder that the mics and cameras stay live in this room.
Yeah, I think, actually, my hair must have picked it up, because I went to the eye doctor and of course it.
I saw it there, I thought it was decoration.
Oh, I wish you'd said something. I was like,
No.
oh, check it out. However, that means that tag was still on while I was probably shopping at Aldi. It was like,
Nobody said anything?
no.
No big deal.
they did not. They
I was
did
gonna
not.
say something, I decided not to.
Actually, Carl probably, I have no idea
He
when
might have put it there.
came out. He did.
We'll steal a bit later. Have a good evening.
You too. Hope this isn't gonna be long.
Last time they went into closed session was when Sand Valley was requesting TIF for a golf course, and they were in for like 45 minutes, I guess.
Oh, I've seen him longer than that.
Well, that was the last time I recall.
That the last time that you,
And
yeah.
I recall, and that doesn't mean anything, because we aren't always here. Now we are.
Yeah.
Details. Okay, later, Donna.
Yeah.
Take care. There can't be a whole lot more items on the agenda.
No, I think they're just looking at, I believe Mark had some, to be fire chief.
Arcane.
Mark Hay needed some additional education or classes or something. But I don't know if it was a back injury or a shoulder replacement. He had something done that he is physically unable to take those classes yet. So they're just extending the time period, I think. So hopefully they're not gonna take long at all.
The agenda that we had tonight was for the budget. This agenda was for the budget.
Oh, yeah, there's two out there.
Well, there was none here for this meeting.
Oh, that they didn't hand out. Yeah, I go online and print mine off, but yeah, so they didn't give the new
You're
one
one
out.
of those people.
Yes, I am one of those.
Some of us dinosaurs
never leave the house without a shopping list. You know, that it's always on your phone. But it's also one where you can make a list and you check things off as you've done it. So it just,
There's some stuff I can do on the phone, and, you know, I thought I shut the phone off before, I did.
oh, that was yours?
No, it's, and I just hit the off button.
But on the other hand, technology can also be very frustrating.
Well, that's where we come from, you know.
I, actually just, my old computer was getting so slow that it was taking me twice as long to do everything, so I got a new computer. Well, I went from Windows 7 to Windows 11. Oh my God. I'm still working two different computers, because when I need to get something done right away, I use the
At
old.
least your mind allows you to make that transition. I have enough problems with the phone, and we've got it with us in the woods, we have it with us wherever we go, it gets sweaty up, it gets hot, it gets steamed up, whatever, and then it starts acting up. Really kind of unpredictable. And so, I'll US phone is, you know, you can get a phone if you want, but can't guarantee that it's gonna work any better, so.
What kind of phone do you have, iPhone or Android?
It's Android.
Android, yeah. And that was the reason I went Android, because Android, you do a lot of things, you do so many functions. The same on my phone, if you do my computer. But iPhones,
Same better off just leaving the house. That's all the stuff that we talk about this evening. You have an idea what we're talking about, what we're talking about.
oh yeah. Well, sometimes the dinosaur works.
And more credit to you and Carl for being able to stay on top of both things, so.
Now, we're still, to be honest, though, we are still so far behind some others. I mean, it's just, technology is just,
Between Carl and his dad and any other place that you just sell and everything else, and you,
which you know we didn't sell that.
yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
It showed up on Facebook for some reason.
Yeah, we put it on
Oh,
Facebook.
you put it on?
Yeah,
It was after
on
it was sold.
Marketplace, yeah.
Well, it showed up after it was sold, I think, when I saw it, so.
Well, he had to go, you know what, after it sold, we updated it to sold, so it probably pops up again there.
And I hadn't seen it before, I didn't know anything, I know Carl was saying they're fixing.
Yeah, and
I know what that's like, because they fixed the Paws place a couple years ago, we fixed our place last year. We sold both of them.
oh yeah,
Or a little bit lower.
But-
Just a little bit lower.
now we need to Yeah, no, who makes
I thought it was
things
something
happen.
else, but I don't know.
We're the ones who make the things happen.
Here I come.
You call me a woman?
I think she called me one too. You aren't very good looking. Don't take this the wrong way or anything.
Yeah, I never got very far on my looks.
This one on the other hand, what do you get?
She didn't make it on her looks either. She worked her ass off.
Well, I saw for sales. Those are the same thing.
You know, in some instances, not probably getting into politics, but
program worked again. It always works. Mutually. Yep. Was, Grand Rapids, it was their area of Saratoga. Then Nakusa, Rome, and Wisconsin Rapids. And the DNR. The DNR was up there with a dozer.
Where's the DNR nearest station?
Right on Griffith Avenue, so Highway Z
Oh, so there was
crosses.
one down here,
Yep.
okay, okay. I know there was one up in,
And then
when I
Friendship.
had one in Cloverfield one.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if that was the nearest one,
No.
because I'd never seen one.
No, they call that Nakusa. It's actually Saratoga. It's actually, I can be Port Edwards. Depending on which way the borders go, we're back and forth.
Still the second biggest department in the area.
Us,
This is bigger.
yeah, Rapids is full-time. So that would make us, that put us to second.
Your biggest department.
Right.
It's only good as people are leaving.
I try hard. You're welcome. It looks like we've got some good backing going on. We're making some changes. When we get short on manpower, we have to change the technology. I'm buying a new nozzle coming up here very shortly. That'll allow 500 gallon a minute flow, hands-free. Nope, it's just the way it's, the design of it, it stabilizes itself on the ground, and if it starts to pick itself up, it automatically shuts off, so you don't have something flopping around on you. So that just that's 2 people I don't need holding on to that thing now, because it just takes, once you set it, it takes care of itself.
Well, you have that other, you have some other piece of equipment, right, that was donated, I thought, that,
Which one you're talking about?
you did a demo up at the, at fire station two on it. You put a car out just like that.
Oh, that's the ultra-high pressure.
Okay.
The fire department fund bought that unit.
Okay, okay.
And put it in the new truck that the town bought 2 years ago.
There you go, okay.
You have to write your own price. Spend time in the office to. Computer, Gallagher,
Yeah.
piece of computer,
Hey, I started working,
that's what cozy.
I started working on one of the first home computers that came out. What was it,
Texas Instruments one, piece by piece.
whatever. But anyway, back in 1971, so when you actually had to format all your discs, and I remember when I worked at Colgate Mall with her, one thought she knew everything. Well, the first she did was she formatted her hard drive. Long before Windows even, nobody even knew what the word Windows was.
Like I said before, it's good that people are, keep up with that. Computer technology, because I gave up on it.
IBM AT was a computer.
I'm not a computer technology guy. I get on any piece of equipment this department owns, I'll make it sing.
Physical,
Yep.
Yeah, that-
water gears, wheels, whatever.
Yep. But so my downfall is I have to try to get it takes me longer to get my paperwork done and to do my grant research and stuff. That's where I use up my time.
They say no job is complete until the paperwork is finished. I'm gonna call it a night. You guys have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Have a good one.
See you later.
Good afternoon.
Be good or have fun.
At this age, we could. You're welcome. Thank you. Later.
Artie's and Riley are all here.
I know you're gonna,
I almost tripped on him when, I almost tripped on him when we went into closed session.
yeah, I saw that, that was not really.
All right. Everybody here? Yeah. The board reserves the right to enter into open session authorized by Wisconsin statute section 19.85 sub 2 to possibly take action from the closed session and continue with the agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
Move to return to open session.
Second.
Get a roll call vote from my left, please.
Jamadi, yes.
Minter, yes.
Asdell, yes.
Goldman, yes.
We are now back in open session. And we are not taking action on 21 at this point. So dates and items for future agenda and meetings, next agenda items.
Just before we hit next agenda items, I just wanted to follow up on Supervisor Jamadi's question about the $1,413 purchase. That was with Seams Repair, and it was for an axle, gasket, brake clean, and seal on the Public Works, on one of the Public Works trucks. So it says replace both drive axle wheel seals. The rims were seized up due to the hubs that took some extra time to clean, heat and press them off, clean the hubs, bearings, brake shoes, and axle housing, reassembled everything, and road tested truck.
Thank you.
I don't necessarily have the next agenda items. It would, our next meeting would be prior to Plan Commission, so there won't be any Plan Commission items, but I'm,
Special assessment.
oh, special assessment, thank you. And I was gonna say the rest of it kind of forms itself.
Okay. Next meeting date and time, number 23.
So it's going to be Thursday, November 3rd at 5 p.m.
I will
And then
not be
just-
present.
Just a reminder, then annual meeting, town meeting and budget presentation Thursday, November 17th, 6 p.m. And then our meeting would follow.
Need a motion for adjournment?
I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Adjournment at 7:40 p.m.